And the truth was, it's the same thing as I have to find who I am right here. It has nothing to do with all these accolades and crowds and audiences. But I thought the recognition I'd finally arrive. I would be on a plateau. I would know who I am. Everybody else would know who I am, and I could proceed with life. Where that that's not the case. I had to start in here to know who I am. Nobody can tell me who I am. Nothing out there can tell me who I am.
Welcome back to Daily Power Boost. My guest today is someone who lived what a lot of high performers quietly fear. He had the record deal, trophies, and a wall to put them all on. Yet he was standing in front of that wall, wanting to die. Ezra Vancil spent 20 years chasing an identity that was never actually his. At 40, with his marriage gone, his children watching him fall apart, and a life that looked successful from the outside, but was collapsing from the inside, he made a decision not to fix what he had built, to let the whole foundation come down. What got rebuilt over the next 13 years isn't just a sober life, it's a new self. His marriage came back, his children work alongside him, and a music career that he finally plays from the inside out. In addition, he has a clarity about who he is that didn't exist when the trophies were still coming in. This isn't a recovery story, it's an identity story. And those are different things. Ezra, welcome to Beyond the Boost.
Sean, thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad to be here.
When we talked before, Ezra, you shared something that just really stuck with me. So take me back to that day in the office with your 6 foot wall of trophies. Bring me into the room, bring the audience into the room, and tell us, what were you feeling inside that nobody outside could have known?
That was a time in my life where outwardly I was really killing it. And I was treated like the golden child. And what no one, it was that wall was like a shrine to me to remind me, look, Ezra, you're doing it. You're good. And the truth was that inside, that each one of those trophies kind of revealed something inside of me that was a lie. It was like each one of them that I got, it didn't fill the hole. And once again, instead of giving me what I wanted to give me, it took a little bit more away. And I think no one would know that back then. I was a very private person and I was very ambitious. And they wouldn't have known that truly I was feeling like a complete void inside as I went through this mechanical life of trying to get success in some kind of way, that I walked around just completely lost and not understanding who I was, and what I was supposed to do here.
I can imagine that from the outside, everything looked perfect, right? You were living the dream, signed as a teenager, living the music life. But what nobody saw is, as you shared, how it was taking part of you. Not, it was
Yeah.
it was not giving you what you would hope to get from it.
Yeah. I mean, I think at that time I had a lot of things that people just dream their whole life of. I mean, how many musicians dream of getting signed and getting the tour and do all that stuff? And then I went into just winning awards and all kinds of stuff. And at the center of it was just a feeling of, is this it? Like, is there nothing more to life? And, you know, I don't think I worked very hard that no one would know that was going on. I was a very personable person. I was the life of the party. And deep down inside, I was just crumbling.
Right. Well, and I remember you mentioning that it's like you were living two different lives at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
Being the good father, the successful
Yeah.
musician, and, having this other side that was very different.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there was a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde going on in my life. So that was my public persona. But in my personal life, yeah, I from the band days, which was came in at my mid teens, really, alcohol had just rooted itself in my life as my solution to every feeling I had. And at night, it was a totally different story. I pretty much just drank myself into oblivion every single night. And keeping that, I mean, it's even harder to keep that a secret. It took a kind of a family combination to keep my real life going on. And so, yeah, there was this outside facade, which that's why I felt empty about it. I knew it was a facade because the real man was just destroying his life.
Yes. And so, two questions here. How long were you able to keep that facade going, having this dual life? And what was the cost of keeping it going besides the drinking?
Yeah, the consequences started rolling in my late 20s. And strangely, my music had started becoming successful again, but my home life just was falling apart. My first marriage ended with an affair on my part, and she divorced me. And I quickly jumped into another marriage. I was married within a few months to a bartender, and she's actually my wife now. So somehow she made that through. But I probably made it without really anyone under what people thought in my 30s as I through a divorce. They thought I became very depressed. And that was the story is maybe he has some kind of mental illness or something because I visibly became very depressed outwardly. I started ended up in the hospital. I tried to take my life a few times, but again, this was all kept within the family. Jobs, outward people, church, people didn't know this was going on. I was Mr. Smiley there. It all came out though when I got a felony in my, I would say about 36, 37 years old, a DWI felony, and it just blew up. Now it was all out in the open. And it was a particularly kind of shameful felony. I don't know if you want me to go into that, but I blacked out. I was actually at the time trying to stop drinking. I was trying to not stop, but just get it under control. And I would start doing days of sober days. And I was real proud of myself. I had 3 days I hadn't drank. And I came home from church and got the cereal. My wife went off to a meeting and I got the cereal for the kids. I looked behind and there was one of my hidden bottles of vodka behind there. And then I just woke up in a car with my kids in the back seat and I was blacked out and I woke up and ran into a soccer game at about 40 miles an hour, hit a tree. All the neighbors are out. I mean, it's like this hidden world exploded on the scene. My father-in-law was driving by while this happened. All the neighbors are out. Everybody's around. And suddenly the secret's out that I have some major problems.
Wow. But nobody was seriously hurt.
No one was hurt. Yeah, I was hurt a little bit in the head. My kids were okay. No one got hit in the soccer game. So thank God
God for
that
that.
it
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I found in my own experience, the truth will come out, right? You can't
yeah.
keep it buried.
No,
It will come out. And unfortunately, sometimes it comes out in a big way, like you just shared.
yeah.
All
Yeah, it's
right.
like
Tell us.
maybe a pressure cooker. The harder you try to hold it in, when the longer it's going to pop.
Well, and as you said, the pressure cooker, I had a vision in my head because I've seen these videos where the lid to the pressure cooker is jammed in the roof.
Yeah,
Has the pressure cooker exploded?
that's yeah, it exploded for sure. Yes.
Right. So tell us about Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Wow. So that was a couple of years later. I found out hell had a basement. It got even worse after the felony. And all the consequences were still there. And my wife had left. And it was Valentine's Day. And I woke up from a blackout on the kitchen floor, which is not a strange thing to happen. It was kind of normal. But I woke up and I saw I had my phone in my hand and I just saw walls of texts and I read it and it was just garbled cuss words and nothing made sense. And then every once in a while, I got a text back from my son asking me, "Why am I doing this? Please stop, Dad." And something in me just broke. And at the time, I called myself an atheist. I think I was really just angry at God. And I just got down and I cried out and I said, "I will do absolutely anything. I just I don't want to live like this and I don't want to die this way." And something inside of me that next morning, I woke up because I've done that before. I'd made promises and swore it off, but this was something like I'd never felt before. And I woke up and I just decided to do something. And so I did probably the thing that I would never do, which is I let people into my life. I walked over, there's a recovery house nearby, and I just said, "I need help." And I let people into my life. And I never was going to let people in. I would rather die than let people into my life.
So, would you say that something inside you broke at that point?
Mm. You know, and I've thought about that, like what actually happened, because I had so many nights like this. It was like it's really reaching the very end of myself. There was I could not go any further like this. And I would say that the feeling inside of me, I'll kind of put something in here that I had always felt like, even with this crazy life that I had lived, I was a good father. Because me and my wife, we kept this very secret. Everything, my kids, I'd gone off for a trip if I went to jail or something. And that was the one little thing I held on to. At least I'm a good father and I love my son. And I looked down and I saw the truth. And then it was all gone. That was the last thread I had. I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good citizen. I wasn't a good son. I knew all that. But I had that thread and I was like, I'm not a good father. I'm worse. I'm 1,000 times worse than my dad. Anything I blamed him for. And it's like that was the last truth and it broke. It was the last thing I was holding on to. And I think that's when I just gave up.
Yeah. So it sounds like that was the last lifeline,
Yeah.
right? Like I think of a boat being tied in a storm or something like that, and the lines snap, and there's one line left holding it on, and
Mm-hmm.
that one breaks.
And that one
And
breaks. That's my children. And what is there to hold on to now?
yeah, there's nothing like that's when you go, I got to reach out for help
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going to drown. I'm drowning and I can't stay up anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. It's my last lifeline. Because my son looked up to me,
As
as
yeah,
sons
I
do.
know. My sons do. Yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
want to be just like dad. And as a dad, you look at your life and you go, that's not what I want to show my kid.
Exactly.
All right. So the sunlight, right? The breaking dawn.
Mm-hmm.
A therapist said something simple. You
Mm-hmm.
said you'd never heard it before. Four simple words. What were those words?
You can be happy.
And what
I'd
happened for
never,
you?
I had never, well, first of all, it dawned on me, I'd never heard that in my entire life. I grew up in a religious family, been to all kinds of therapists and doctors, and no one had ever told me you can be happy. And I left with just a big question: Can I be happy? It opened up a question I'd never asked. I never even asked if I could be happy. Life was suffering to me, and I left that office believing that. I believed her. I can be happy. I don't know how, but I know it's possible. And
Yeah.
that's just what led me on. Yeah.
So I'm hearing that prior to that, like you'd never heard anything like that. You
Mm-hmm.
said it. Life was survival, right? Survival of the fittest, fight to survive, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
very
There's
challenging.
two sides of my life because I grew up very religious. So in that, life was suffering. It's actually okay to suffer, and it's what we're called to do.
Hellfire and brimstone kind of
Yes,
thing.
that kind of suffering or righteous suffering. Either way, you're suffering. And then I had a side where I disavowed all religion, and then it was more of that survival of the fittest. Life is just struggle, and you just deal with it. Life is pain.
Right.
What is happiness?
Dog eat dog, kill or be killed, eat or be eaten
Abs-
kind of thing, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
And at one point, we've shared several points where things took a shift, right? And they kind of stacked together to really put you on to the path that got you to where you are today, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And you had said before that it wasn't just the drinking that had to go, the whole world had to be redone.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to take it down to the foundation. I would say that's one of the biggest things that I did. And I say I did, my life did it to me, my higher power or something, is I allowed my life just to fall down. I was holding it up. It was like an avalanche. All those, I was still dealing with the law and divorce, and I just let it all fall down. And I let my ambition go of what I'm going to be in music and all this. And it just fell apart. And it was a wonderful feeling. It's a strange thing to say. My house went into foreclosure. All these things that someone would look on the outside and like, that poor guy, it's just completely going. And it felt so good. It felt like a restart. Like I can let these things fall. And I found out something really beautiful is that I can be happy even without all this stuff, even without success, even without everybody looking at me and going, "Oh, Ezra's so great," without the dignity that I wanted. That I didn't need all this. I needed much less than I ever thought I needed to be content and happy in this world.
Right. And that's the magic, isn't it? Is that when you realize that all this out here, it's nice,
Yeah.
but as your therapist said, you can be happy.
Yeah,
It's an inside job.
absolutely. It is. There's nothing wrong with all this stuff. It's just that I was looking to it for the wrong, to give me something it had no way of giving me. It's in here. I had to look inside.
Right. I've always heard it this way, Ezra. The external stuff, the trophies, the houses, the cars, the success, whatever, the money, it's simply a magnifier of what's at the foundation.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I really, and that's funny because I have more stuff really, but not just stuff, but a career. I have a business. I have a beautiful family. I have land and cabins. I have things that grew out of not me trying to get them, but trying to be useful to other people, to be something not just for myself, not my self gratification, but I started in business to be useful to people, to create something useful that helps other people. And it's strange. It's a paradox because suddenly all the things that I thought I needed, they don't mean what I thought they would. They're just here because it's kind of the inevitable outcome of living a life that is fruitful and giving. It seems to start this circular motion of you give and I just give and it's given to me.
Right. And there's so many, like, I know there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "Given it shall be given."
Hmm.
Good measure, pressed down and shaken up, and Jim Rohn, I think that's who
Yeah.
said it.
Yeah.
Help enough people get what they want, and you will
Absolutely.
get what you want. And it's like you said, it's a heart of service. And I did a show recently this about the death of the helper, and somebody came in from a very more religious, more spiritual Christian background.
Hmm.
And they're like, well, helping's good. And I'm like, look, I'm not saying helping's bad. Like everything else, just like having nice things, having a beautiful marriage, wonderful, everything else, it's what am I trying? Am I getting it because I'm doing the thing that's fulfilling me and filling me up
Mm,
and I'm serving and giving? Or am I doing it because it's trying to fill a hole,
yeah. Yeah,
right?
there's
Am I
yeah.
chasing it out of unmet needs?
Yeah,
Am I
that's
helping to prove something? Do I have the fancy car so I can say, look, I did it, I made it?
yeah. Yeah, I mean it's two opposite sides of it's it's something of what I can't give anything that I don't have already. And so my life before with the awards and the deal is just me in need. I'm grabbing these things and like putting them around me so people will think I am a whole person. Where it's a completely different thing when I am giving from something in here. I took the time to build something to actually give to people when someone comes to me to build the skills that I can give something of worth instead of just throwing it all together and trying to sell it. I want to create something that's valuable to someone else.
It's exactly like you said, Ezra, right? The old way, the way you tried earlier, I tried myself as well, is getting things, proving things, doing things to feel whole
Mm,
versus being whole and everything comes out of that, right? It's kind of like the tagline of the show: stop performing, start becoming.
absolutely. Yes. Yes, it is. It's so that becoming thing. I've talked to you about that, I think, before, just about that it was no longer like that um, I could think my way into something. I could think to change my actions. I had to actually become something. It was beyond just some little project of me thinking this and reading the right books and doing the right, talking to the right people and the right connections and all this. I actually had to become something in order to give from that, because that's just a very unstable foundation if you're acting like you've become something. And so it's not going to hold very long.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All of it. The behavior, the mindset, it all sounds good. It looks good. It works for a while.
Hmm.
But until, like you said, letting it all fall down to the foundation, get the foundation right, and come back from that, it changes everything.
Yeah,
And
you just nailed it. Get the foundation right. Take the time to get the foundation right.
right, which might mean tearing it out and putting a new one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So before the shifts, from the earliest to the to that Valentine's Day morning, who were you trying to be that wasn't actually you?
Hmm. I think I was so void of a presence in myself, of knowing, of being able to see myself. I couldn't get beyond far enough out to see what I was doing. It was all up in here. And I thought if other people could see me and recognize me, and the more people that saw me, that I would know who I was. That would almost tell me who I was. And the truth was, it's the same thing as I have to find who I am right here. It has nothing to do with all these accolades and crowds and audiences. But I thought the recognition, I'd finally arrive. I would be on a plateau. I would know who I am. Everybody else would know who I am, and I could proceed with life. Where that that's not the case. I had to start in here to know who I am. Nobody can tell me who I am. Nothing out there can tell me who I am.
Right. And I see that, and you can tell me if you feel the same way. It's not, we say the term becoming, we say, rebuilding, but what I've really discovered is that it's clearing all the junk, the malformed
Mm,
beliefs and behaviors and everything that we built our identity around, and getting back to our pure,
yeah.
unvarnished self,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
the way we started life, right?
That's the best place to look. Is like, who was I before all this started? And It is, all these things, like what you just said, is I had to discard all the broken things in my life. I had to look at them and kind of take a moment in my life and go, this isn't working for me anymore. This little story I've got of myself, this needs to go. And just digging deeper back to, and it wasn't like you think of it like sitting with a therapist laying on a couch. This was in the activity of my life, starting to go back to that. Who was I before all this began, before all this fell apart? And who I was, somebody that loves to create and loves people. And I had somehow got to a place where I'm just stepping over everybody I can for everybody to look at me, the creator, instead of just being okay with just creating and that joy of being in the moment of creation. And that's who I found that I was, is I'm a creator. I love to create and I love people. I love to show them. I like to experience it with people.
I would even say like it's that joy of creating for the sake of creating
Yeah.
and sharing it with others, not for accolades or for validation, but to share it like, look, I created this and
Hmm.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to share it with you.
That's
You know,
really what it is.
it's kind of like I have a lot of pictures that my son drew when he was little. They're kid drawings, so they're no Van Gogh,
Hmm.
but they're full of heart, right? They're full of
Hmm.
just this purity of the creation and sharing it because daddy, I made this for you.
Right. Yeah. It's,
No other reason. It wasn't to gain anything. It was just
it,
I made this and I want to share it with you.
and it has value just for that reason. I think of creation because the life before I created with the audience in mind. Or are they going to like this? And boy, they're going to love this and they're going to love me. Where that's entirely the wrong place to start. Because, first of all, to do that, I'm looking at the world and seeing what they want, what's hot out there, what's working. And so I'm just regurgitating something that's already out there. Where if ask myself, what do I want to make? Well, I'm more likely to build something, make something, write something that's new and actually give the world something new. Because I'm not asking them, tell me what you like. I'm asking myself, this one individual, I can make something that comes from me and put this unique thing out there. And whether they like it or not, that's many steps down the road of sharing it with people. Like, hey, it's done. Check it out, everybody. It's a different
Right.
part of the process.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's because I believe if we create from that place, the ones that are meant to see it, hear it,
Mm,
interact with it, they will get to and they will love it.
yeah. Sean, I got to tell you, you just brought up a story that it's probably my favorite story from my music career. That I went and played. This is in a time that music was not doing too good. A lot of people weren't showing up to shows, but I went and played the show, a 3 hour show down in Austin, and it was terrible. Hardly anybody showed up. The ones that did sat way in the back. It was out in a park. And I left that just a lot of like regret because I had so much expectation it would be this big show. And years later, this lady wrote me and she said, "You don't know me, but we were at this show in Austin, and me and my husband have came to that park to sign our divorce papers. And we're sitting at this park, and you started playing this song, and we started listening. And by the end of the show, we tore up the papers and we went home together, and we've been together ever since. And there's a song I had called "Take Me With You." They said this is our song now, and it goes to show this was a complete disappointment to me. I could hardly see anybody that was watching at all. We don't know. And if I would have gone to that
Absolutely.
show with just joy and just did it for the joy of being able to play in this beautiful park, and whoever listens, that's great. And then let those results just happen or not. Let that go because I never had any control over other people, anyways.
That's beautiful. All right. So I have it down as 13 years in.
Mm-hmm.
You're still married to wife number two.
Yes.
and it's going well. It's
It's a
not
beautiful marriage.
surviving. It's not surviving, as you shared
Surviving.
earlier. You know, suffering and survival. The business, your music, your kids work alongside you, as I said at the beginning. So, what do you protect now that you used to sacrifice?
Hmm. I'd have to say, just the first thing that came to mind was just my quiet. I would sacrifice that to just endless noise. I just always had TVs going and never allowed myself to sit alone and really do what we've talked about today and just check in on myself and say, how are you doing? Clean up any of the mess I've made. And I have to protect that. And I think that the more I step into business and responsibility and family, the more I have to step back and say, this is for them too. This is for my business and my family. So there has to be this little place where I can gather myself each day and remember why I'm doing this.
That's as much for them as any other part of what you do, right? Building the business, creating the music, all of it, right? It's the part that so many people tend to avoid, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just sit in the quiet and ask yourself the hard questions, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I need to get out of my life? Like, what's not working?
It's the hardest thing. I think people avoid it. I actually did it right before our podcast, and I did it yesterday to think I'm going to sit and talk with Sean. I just want to kind of live in this time in my life so that I can be ready for that. But I think it's one of the hardest things for us to do. Is the last. We all want that, but it's the thing that we push off and push off. And so I've just had to make it the very staple of my day. It's how I start my days every morning so that it happens before anything else. You can't push it off. I can't say, oh, I'll do that later. It doesn't work.
Right. Yeah. Well, and for me, it has become like we all have our daily routines, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do things, we get up at a certain time, we make the coffee, brush the teeth, whatever. We all have our routines. And as you said, setting up quiet time for me alone,
Mm-hmm.
nobody else. At the beginning, it was not easy. I'm not going to lie, it was not easy. And I remember when I said, I'm going to start getting up at 5 o'clock. Actually, I think I said, I'm going to get up at 5:30 so I have a half hour before anybody else gets up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like, I was looking at my life and I'm like, that's the only time I'm going to easily get this time alone. First day I set the alarm for 5:30 in the morning. The alarm went off. I'm like, hell no. I'm not doing that. I'm like, But today, like, even when I'm on vacation
Mm.
and I think, I'm on vacation, I don't have any commitments, I can sleep. Nope. I'm up at 5
I do it.
a.m. having my personal time to check in with myself and create a good foundation for that day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say the harder it is to do, because like you just expressed, it was so hard to do this in the beginning. The harder it is to do, the more you need it. Because
Right.
once you experience the fruits of this in your life, then that's why you do it on vacation. I just was in Mexico and I did it in Mexico because it gives so much to my day and to the people around me. It's not just what it does for me, it's what it does for my whole life.
Right. Well, and I think you're exactly right, Ezra, right? The thing that's the hardest thing to do, like if it's getting yourself quiet time to do this process, as you said, it's the thing you need the most. The harder it is, the more you need it. But I also say it's also going to give you the biggest payoff,
Mm-hmm.
as you just said. You will see it ripple through your life.
Absolutely.
So, what's your early signal that you go, I need to course correct and
Mm.
bring it back on course?
Yeah, I have really two that are ones that I recognize, and there's an alarm that goes off. One of them, self pity. I know what self pity feels like down to the molecules in my body. And I know that's where I lived for all those years. and I don't want to live in that anymore. So when that comes in, I need to do something. And the second one is racing thoughts. If I leave a conversation and I'm in the shower and I'm playing it over and stopping and rewinding and playing it back again, I've probably picked up a resentment towards somebody or something that needs to be dealt with. And those are big, like people would probably laugh, like everybody has a little self pity. For me, I lived in that for so long that when I feel that come back, I'm like, I got to course correct. I've got to talk to a friend about this and kind of get myself, or have a quiet time and get myself back where I know I need to be. Because those are dangerous things to me. And I don't know how many alcoholics you've met, but we can these kind of stories and resentments and stuff we play in our mind can become like a fantasy world that we live in, and the self-pity can just drag us back to a bottle, and I can't have that.
Well, and I have seen it in anybody dealing with any type of addiction, like alcohol or you name it, food, sex, drugs, whatever.
Mm.
It is a very recurrent pattern. But I've seen it in many people, right? It's a trap that we
Mhm.
fall into. We start getting into this, woe is me. I used to go, pity, party of one.
Yeah.
And I did that as a joke when I was a kid, but I'm standing here today going, that was like some early wisdom that I just
Mm.
kind of laughed off. But now I know, like, if I'm in playing this pity game, that's dangerous,
Yeah.
because it does not lead to anywhere good.
Yeah, it's like you're starting to lay the foundations of a new story, and it's the pity story. And you're starting the first lines of that chapter with that. And so I even have, because my wife, if she catches me in this, because we're both in the same, she has recovery time too. So we're in the same game. So if we hear each other, she'll like go, "You want me to get some balloons? Are we having a party tonight?" She'll bring it up. And I want her to do that because I want to remember, oh, yeah, I don't want to live there anymore. That brings nothing that I need or want.
Right. And what I saw is it doesn't always look like addicted person and their thing, it's all,
Oh,
it's everybody, and it just quietly eats at you.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like you said, you replay thoughts, and the crazy thing is thoughts are like weather.
Hmm.
They pass.
Yeah.
But we we have this thing called consciousness that makes them real. It brings them to life. It brings the scary monsters of our dreams
Mm.
or our thoughts to life, and we act from there.
Yeah.
So having a warning system in today's language, the red flags, right? Like, okay,
Hmm.
there's a red flag.
Yeah.
That's something I got to do something.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Sean. I think everybody deals with this. I think addicts usually have bright alarms because it's a pattern that leads them to near death decisions. But
Right.
it is
They've
something we
usually
all
hit
deal with.
the like you said, they've usually hit the basement of hell.
Yeah. Uh, so it's like alarms. We don't want to go there again. Yeah.
They're like, yeah, that was in a good place. All right, walk me anywhere, anytime. Your head is held high, knowing you did everything you could. That's something you said on the call.
Hmm.
What did it take to become the person who could honestly say that?
Many years of work. Of It was not an overnight thing, and in fact, I had to give up the idea that it would be an overnight thing. And there was a lot of humility involved in really seeing my part in things. And I had to have help from other people to help me even look at that stuff. And so that instead of going out and trying to grab people and go, "Hey, I'm sorry, just like me again," I could actually go talk to them about the thing I actually did. And instead of just leaving it and saying, "Oh, I said sorry to them," maybe I could actually fix something, heal something. And I've had many, many cases where instead of going and making excuses and trying to prop up my side of the story. I went with no story and just told them exactly what I'd done to them, what it might have done, made them feel like, and what I wanted to do to try to make it right. And so many times it just healed relationships that I never imagined could be healed, people that I stole money from. And so that brings up another thing is going back and trying to do my part to pay back people if I stole or if I'd done them wrong to do something. Now there's their side too, and maybe they don't want to accept it. But if I know that I've gone to a place like that, I can walk away and know I've done that all I can. And now it's on them if they want to forgive me or not. And that's it's not my business either. I don't have to worry about that. And so many things of just a daily, it was just a daily way of living, of working on this, trying not to create new harms. And I still have this, I still create messes in my life. And I try to quickly go and do something about it. And I'm not always perfect about it, but I know that if I go in this kind of humble place, that it's not about them or me, it's about this thing that I did. And I want to tell you this. I got to say, I've gone to people that I felt like maybe did me more harm with the thing that I did because this is about me. This, I'm still
Mm-hmm.
carrying this around. They might be mad at all kinds of things. That's theirs. I have to take care of this thing, go admit to it, and then whatever their reaction is, I've done all I can do and I can hold my head high.
Right. And that's, I know you've been through 12 step probably. I don't
Mm-hmm.
remember if we directly talked about that, and in 12 step programs, and I don't want to get too deep into that, but there's a serenity prayer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most people know this, if you've been around any kind of 12 step or even, other purposes, right? It's a very famous prayer. But I have a version I love, and it's God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the people I can, and the wisdom to know the only one I can change is me.
Mm, that's really good. Sure. I like that. I'm going to be repeating that. I really like
Yeah,
that.
take it and run with it because it's so true. Like you said, whether we're giving the forgiveness for
Mm-hmm.
what others have done,
Mm-hmm.
real or perceived, and taking ownership and making amends for the mistakes we've made, that's all we can do. What
Mm-hmm.
the other person does with it, it's not in our control,
We can't control it.
right?
Right.
One of the things that shifted my life, and I'm teaching this to my 8-year-old son now, is I can't make anybody feel anything. I can't. I struggled most of my early marriage with the traditional husband prime directive, make her happy.
Right. Yeah.
And when we can't make that, when she's
Mm-hmm.
unhappy, it destroys us as men. And when I realized I can't make her happy, I can't, and she can't make me whatever. Like my feelings, me, what happens in here, it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to me what I do with it. I can't change anything else in anybody else.
That's right.
Can I create the ripe environment for happiness and joy and
Mm-hmm.
peace? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, it's still on that other person.
That's right. I think that's where like the life of peace is in that prayer and in that idea of discerning what you have control over and what you don't. And I'd say
And
to lose
realizing most of what you think you have control over, you
you
don't.
don't. You know, and what most people think run around this world all day long thinking they can control, they don't. And it's part of their misery. And there's the true power, though, is when you go, okay, I have control over this. And you start working on the things you actually do have control over. Now there's like power in every aspect of your life, in personal, in business, in relationships. That's the true
Yeah,
powerful place
everything.
to be. Mm-hmm.
Right. And as you said earlier, in surrendering,
Yeah.
in admitting to yourself and to others, I'm actually going to be participating in an anthology. It's called Men, Money, and Mental Health. And I can't reveal a lot of details because I do have a like an NDA not to release anything about my chapter. But it's about that, how trying to do it on my own didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
As the story you illustrated, right? Trying to
Yeah.
stand up and do it all on my own. It was when we surrendered and we went to another human being or beings and
Mm.
said, help me. I
Yeah.
can't do this. Or even more, something outside, something outside of ourselves, another human, a higher power,
Mm-hmm.
the doorknob, I heard that before.
Right.
But something outside to admit. I think that's the key, admitting to yourself, like, I can't do it. I need
Yeah.
help.
It's such a key for me. It was a higher power that I call God that is, it was so much of it was exactly what you said. It is that willingness to let go of this thing, this universe that I somehow thought I could control, and giving it over, surrendering it. And I do this every day. I surrendered that
Mm-hmm.
this because I don't have as much as control as I think I do. And I spent that whole younger life trying to chase all the things. I don't think I did anything with the things that I actually have control over, which is right here. But man, I spent a lot of time on all the things that I didn't. And when I do that, when I surrender, the outcomes, that's the biggest part of it for me is surrendering the results and the outcomes. Just do my part and let go of what I think the result should be. Let it be what it's going to be because it's no longer in my hands. It's in my higher power's hands.
Right. I did my best. It's one of the mantras my son has on it. We have an affirmation board, and he helped us write them. Like,
Oh,
we
that's
wrote them,
cool.
but he came up with them. I did my best, and my best is good enough.
Yeah, that's right.
It's so simple, right? And on another angle, one of my mentors says it this way: pain in life, it's inevitable. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
feels pain.
Mm-hmm.
Suffering, that's a choice.
Yeah, I completely believe that. I think that pain and struggle is innate to our existence. And the quicker we can accept that and stop the suffering of avoiding that, and we can get into life and actually live a real life. And I used to call it the life, the veil of tears life is what I used to live, which is suffering for me. And there's an old saying of an old man on his deathbed. His son comes to him and he goes, "Oh, son, I've lived a long life and had many troubles, many of which never happened." That's our life, is that we've lived
It
many
is.
troubles, most of which never happened. So even a lot of the suffering is over things that they're illusions. There's stuff we make up in our head and in that racing mind of ours.
The next part, you can go where you want to go with this. But when I asked you on our last call, what would be the thing that felt most risky for you if we hit record right then and there to talk about out loud? And you've already mentioned them earlier in the conversation today. And in our first call, you said you're not afraid of them, but you had never quite found the language about them. So, my question is, what would you want people to understand about who you were in those moments? Not the story, the identity, who you believed you were at that moment.
Ah, the identity, I mean, quite frankly, the identity was a retrograde, damned to hell. That's what I thought of my identity. The God of the universe, or the God that I'd grown up with, more like, had rejected me and that I was worthless. And there's not really anything I could do about it because I'm just a little human. And that is a part, I'm not sure if that's exactly what we talked about, but that's a part that I have a hard time having language for. I grew up very religious. And now I have a completely, I wear dogma and doctrine very loosely, like a little stroud I can throw off. And all I have is that something created me and put me here. And there's not a mistake in there. I'm loved.
Amen.
And I can live in a place of that love. And then I've actually, not only have I seen the proof of that, the Bible says the fruit of living from
Mm-hmm.
that place and not worrying that he's down there like this, but that he's a good father that's with me, that understands. It's just like you are with your son and helping me with my affirmations and how I'm speaking to myself, how I'm treating myself in a loving way. And that is the ground of my being now. And I had to leave that old identity behind of this uh, angry, wrathful God. And that was just me personally. It was tearing me to pieces. It was really killing me.
And I think in some way we all have our own version of that. The language might be different, the
Right.
descriptors might be different, but I think we all have at some point faced that, like this feeling not enough. What's the point? I- I'm just a screw up anyway,
Yeah.
right? It's like I heard it, the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says I made a mistake.
Hmm.
I did something wrong. And shame says I am a mistake.
Yeah.
I
That is the
am wrong.
difference. That's the difference right there. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I was just going to say,
go
I
ahead.
see it makes me very sad because I see so many people that, that live under that. This may not be, it wasn't as extreme as mine, but under this thing is what does it matter what I do anyways? I'm just another one of the 9 billion people on earth. And even if they are a believer or not, they still have this view where there's so much peace and joy to come from the place that no, I am supposed to be here. There's a reason for my life. And it might be small compared to some big movie character, but it's my life and it matters.
Right. And that illuminates something that I've talked about before, right? When we're out here and we're comparing, I call it comparisonitis, which it's very easy to catch these days. It's more and more
It's
catchy.
catchy.
We get so busy looking out there. Like somebody might be listening and like he was a music star. Like he had trophies. He had a successful life. He lived the dream. And I'm not. I'm just I'm just an accountant at the local Walmart or whatever. But that's the thing. We all need to look at our own plate and make our decisions from there and stop looking at it's not. And I've seen it go both ways. Like, oh, I'm not as important. I've lived it. I'm not as important as him.
Mhm.
He has all this success. He has blah 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 blah. And then the other, like, well, at least I don't have it as bad as them.
Yeah.
Like my
Yeah.
my stuff's bad, but it's not as bad as them. Like we do it the both
The
ways. If it's
comparisonitis.
but
Yeah.
if someone were sitting where you were, maybe they have the trophies on the wall. Maybe it's something else. It looks good outside. But inside, they're asking that question you mentioned before. Is this really all there is? What would you say is the first honest question that someone in that place should ask themselves?
I mean, I think it would be what is my part in this life? What have I done to create this? To put away thoughts of what's been done to you or what other people are doing and go, but what about me? What have I done to this? I think that's the place that I started was just to go. For me, it was my dishonesty. I was a very dishonest person to live a life like that. And I was always pointing at other people, like you said, well, they're worse than me. But I was like, but what about me? Yeah, she lied, but have I lied? And it's just turning it back to what about me? What am I doing to perpetuate this place that I'm in? Emotionally, physically, you know, what am I doing?
And this just came to me right here right now. It's the difference between the mirror and a camera.
Mm,
Especially in this world, whenever something happens, you see 100 people out there like this
mm-hmm,
filming. Look what he's doing. Look what she's doing. Like it's all filming. I did the other night. My neighbor, 10 o'clock at 9 o'clock at night, they got the stereo blasting so loud that even with the windows closed, it's like the radio is in my room. And I captured it not to blast on social media. I sent it to the owner and I'm like, what can we
mm-hmm,
do?
mm-hmm,
It was just like, look at what's going on in this complex. What can I do? And, would it do any good? Or the mirror, like you said, I have a reminder on my wall. Ask yourself, how am I at cause for what happened to me?
mm,
Whenever, like you said, when you start to feel that pity monster rise up or the comparison thing, it's like I stop and I go, okay, what did I think? What did I do? What identity was I operating from that activated the chain of events that brought this into my life at
yeah,
this moment? And at the same time, I could get stuck there. At the
mm-hmm,
same time, go, now I know. What am I going to do about it?
yeah. There you go. Yeah, because it's not about, because after, I said that, I thought, well, I would think I would do that. And then I would just feel horribly shameful. I'm a horrible person. That's what I did. It's not about that. It's about giving you something that you can actually do. So I'm so glad you said that. Because if you can locate what am I doing, then you have something that you can actually do instead of just sitting there and going, oh, woe is me. It just happens to me. It actually gives you something that an action that you can take. And so there's power in that.
Absolutely. It's like I tell my son, right? He's kind of at an age where when he's corrected, he's got the fast sorry.
Yeah, I've
And
got that too.
I tell him again and again, I'm like, I don't need your sorry. I don't. What are you going to do different?
Mm,
Right? I often at the end of the day, I'm like, if we have a bad day, it's like, well, the day's done. Tomorrow's a new day. We all can do better.
hmm Yeah, it's a new start. Each day is going back into just the story that I've talked about today. It's a balance between not allowing, and that's that ground I talked about of knowing I am loved, that I'm not a mistake. I don't have to go into shame about things. It's just looking at things and going, okay, that's what it is. It's just looking at reality of me and
Mm-hmm.
go, well, maybe I'll try to do that a little bit better tomorrow or next time I have this situation. I'm going to try a little bit better. And it's really just engaging with life as it truly is instead of, for me, going into shame or into pity. It's engaging with it actually is. And you'll see that life actually starts to work better that way. Like when your son does that, he'll actually discover what he did wrong in that situation. And now he's started to work on something actual instead of just getting his quick, oh, it's okay. And now he can go back to whatever, you know, thing he's
Right,
doing.
but you hit it too, Ezra. Like you said, that's where you know you're loved and you're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
As early as I could with him, I wanted to show that to him because I didn't have it. I discovered it later in life, like you did, of that knowing you're loved just because you are.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I can't make my wife happy.
Mm-hmm.
When I surrender to how she loves me is not up to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how I love her, it's not up to her. And I don't mean that like you just do whatever you want to do and ignore the things that the person you love wants or doesn't want. I mean, you love because you love. It's
Yeah.
that unconditional love. And that's what I've tried to show with my son is that no matter what, there's nothing you can do that will make me love you more. And there's
Mm.
nothing you can do that will make me love you less.
Yeah.
And from that, as you said, from that foundation, that's where we build,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, this went wrong. This is what I'm going to do the next time to
Yeah.
make it, to try it again,
I
get it
have
better.
so that I have my son who really bared the brunt of this life. He was the oldest. He works with me now. He's the manager at my business. And I remember he was so angry in his teens with me, and I was sober now, and I wanted to repair this relationship, but he was just so angry with me. And I realized, for one thing, that I kind of have squandered this idea that I can come in like a father and start telling him what to do and going, "Hey, son, you need to do this and that." And so I told him, and I don't, this just came out of my mind at the moment. I said, I'm going to be your companion in life. And when you want your dad, you can ask for him. Otherwise, I'm just your friend and I'm here to help in any way I can, but I'm not going to do the dad thing and try to tell you how to live your life. And there's some of the most precious times in my life is that we work together every day. And so I'm the boss. And so we have this boss relationship. And every once in a while, he's come to me and said, "I want to talk to dad." And it means so much to me because he knows that's part of that love. My love was for him was so much that I wanted to put down even this thing of me thinking I'm the father and I'm raising this kid. I know I screwed up really bad. And so I'm just going to be here. And to him, that was that he could trust me. And now he can trust me to come to me with when he wants to. And there's this rebuilding of that love. It's never too late I guess that's what I'm saying. It's never too
Yeah.
late to lay that foundation again. Might take a little work, but it's definitely worth it.
Right. And whether it's that close relationship, like a child or a spouse, or it's a business relationship. If you're a leader and you've been doing it all wrong and you get that shift and you change your identity, it's never too late. I always
Yeah,
say it's the day it's too late is when they put me in the ground.
that's right.
If I'm breathing, I got a chance to do better, to make
Y-
a micro step towards a better relationship,
Yeah.
whether it's with a team, with loved ones, whatever. If
Yeah, I
you don't,
believe in being able to when I restart my day, I really restart my day. And I start down on that ground that it's okay. All is well. Whatever's going on. And I think you're right. In business too, allowing that to be there too, because what kind of good relationships in business can you have if there's not that trust there that it's okay, share your thoughts, share where you are. And lastly, what you said about just little micro steps. I heard this saying recently that when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the second best time? Today.
right,
You could play,
or now,
right
when's
now.
the
Yeah.
second best time? Right
Right
now.
now. Right now. Yeah.
And we could say the same thing. When's the best time to make a change? In the past, some point.
Right
When's the second best time to take an action step to change?
now.
Right now. And it doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be world shaking,
Mm-mm.
record shattering. It can be as simple as smiling at a person you wouldn't have normally smiled at.
Mm, it really can. It is those in a world where I turn on YouTube. I try to stay away from YouTube these days, where every video seems to be 7 steps to be a millionaire, a decamillionaire, whatever, or to overcome this in 3 steps. In a world like that, I'll tell you the truth. Those are good. I've learned some stuff from those videos. But the truth is, it is exactly what you said. It is those little actions. It doesn't matter how small they are. It's just that we're willing to do those little actions and just let them kind of build it because that's how the road is built, one brick at a time. We can't just go, bam, road B. We have to build our road.
Yes. And we do that You didn't say the word, but what I heard is being present in life,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Being here, being now in our relationships, in our business, in everything we do, so that we know what's going on. We're not caught in the thought storm,
Hmm. Not.
dreading all the troubles we'll never have, as you said.
Yeah. That's, I mean, I could have said that as the thing I protect the most because that is part of my quietness, is preparing myself to be present in my day. I think that's really the outcome that I'm looking for. And the red flag, everything, it kind of wraps it up with everything we talked about. The red flags are to remind me, hey, be here right now. You know, quit getting off in this future trip and pity past. Come right here because this is the place. This is where life is happening. And this is where any change is going to come out of. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. It's going to come out of right now.
You said that, like you said, that one word. I find that one word, it does encapsulate everything.
Mm.
Presence, being present. And as you said, starting your day with that, that's the first step, is getting present with ourselves, isn't it?
Mm. Yeah. Showing up to ourselves. It's shocking to me that I feel like since I was a child, I think I knew myself when I was a child. I think I spent time with myself. But whenever that switch happened, teens or whatever, that I went on this long voyage and never stopped to go, hey, how are you doing? And just check. And that's what it is. It's just to have a relationship with ourselves. I don't think of it much different than other, like my marriage. My marriage is not just something I can just read a book about, say hi, honey, every once in a while. It's a labor of my life to have a good marriage. And the relationship with myself is the same way. It's no different than a relationship with anybody else. I want to have a good relationship. I have to come in and actually have a relationship, check in,
Right.
talk,
Yeah.
share
That's
things.
the foundation, isn't it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Have the relationship with yourself, love yourself unconditionally,
Mm-hmm.
take ownership and correct mistakes, live in the present, and take action, no matter how small, to move forward. I think that encapsulates everything we talked about today,
It
Ezra.
really does.
So I want to thank you for your time. This was a longer one. I go anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour and plus, and we're at an hour plus. So thank you very much for your time, Ezra. If anybody wanted to reach out, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
My website, it's EzraVancil.com. And you can also look me up on Instagram. That's about the only one I check nowadays. It's at Ezra Vancil.
Okay. And I will definitely share those in this show notes so you can just make an easy click. Thank you for being here again, Ezra. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And just remember, love yourself, be present with yourself, and build everything from that. Thanks for listening.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Sean.
one. We spend a lot of time on this show talking about the threshold, the space between the identity that got you here and the one required for the new ground. You're listening to this because something in your current architecture is fracturing. You're running the performer playbook or the striver protocol, and it's costing you an immense amount of energy to maintain the facade. The external results are there, but the internal friction, it's burning you out. Most people will let this episode end and go right back into the performance. They'll put the mask back on for their next Zoom meeting and keep relying on the identity that's actively caging them. I'm looking for the leader who's done performing. If you're ready to look at the structural identity collapse happening beneath the surface, we need to map your architecture. Go to the link in the show notes, book your identity clarity call. We'll identify the exact survival identity running your calendar and begin the shift into conscious leadership. Stop performing start becoming.